Ladies and gentlemen, good day and welcome to the CSB Bank Q2 FY22 Investors Conference Call hosted by Axis Capital Limited. As a reminder, all participants' lines will be in listen-only mode, and there will be an opportunity for you to ask questions after the presentation concludes. Should you need assistance during the conference call, please signal an operator by pressing star then 0 on your touchtone phone. Please note this conference is being recorded. I now hand the conference over to Mr. Praveen Agarwal of Axis Capital Limited. Thank you and over to you, sir.
Thank you, Vikram. Hello, everyone, and welcome to this earnings calls. We have with us from the management team, Mr. CVR Rajendran, MD and CEO, Mr. Pralay Mondal, President of Retail, SME, Technology and Operations, Mr. BK Divakara, he's the CFO, and Mr. Ganeshan V, the Head of Credit Monitoring and Recovery. Over to you, Mr. Rajendran, to take us through the highlights of the result, post which we'll open the floor for Q&A. Over to you, sir.
Thank you. Good evening to you all. The rebound in economic activity gained traction during the second half of September quarter because of lower COVID infection, easing of lockdown restrictions, and extensive vaccination drives. Hopefully, the momentum will continue hereafter, supported by the increased demand during the upcoming festive season, sustained lower number of infections equal to effective vaccination reach, increased capital spent by government, robust agriculture prospects, etc. The inflation trajectory is expected to edge down during the current quarter. The GDP growth is projected at 9.5% for financial year 21-22. RBI is continuing with the accommodative stance. We believe that the environment will be stable now, but for the unexpected COVID-related challenges, and the pickup in the economic activity will drive a decent credit growth. We look forward to cashing such opportunities in the best possible manner. Our concerted and continuous efforts on the portfolio stress management has yielded results, and we could post a net profit of 118.57 crores in Q2 of financial year 22, as against rupees 61 crores for the first quarter of financial year 22, and rupees 68.90 crores for Q2 financial year 21. As a matter of prudence, we continue to follow the accelerated provisioning policy for SME and NPA accounts. Let me take you through the main highlights. Net interest income grows by 21% year-on-year and 4% quarter-on-quarter. Quarter-on-quarter yielded on advances. Quarter-on-quarter yield on advances have gone by from 10.62 to 11.38, or by 76 basis points, due mainly to the effect of interest suspense on gold loans. That is, interest not collected on the gold loans, which are declared as NPA, now being collected. In Q1, there was a reversal of interest on gold NPA totaling to 23 crores. In Q2, financial year 22, the reversal is only 2.21 crores. The resultant gold loan yield has gone up from 11.46% in Q1 of financial year 22 to 13.085 in Q2, or by 162 basis points. Gold loan NPAs have decreased from 353 crores in Q1 to 287 crores in Q2. Quarter-on-quarter cost of deposit came down from 4.48 to 4.30, or by 18 basis points, due mainly to repricing of term deposits at lower rates. Year-on-year yield on advances increased by 44 basis points, while cost of deposit came down by 88 basis points. NIM. The improved yields and reduced costs have contributed the NIM to be at 5.22% in Q2, as against 5.04% in Q1 of 22 and 4.49% in Q2 of financial year 21. Treasury. Due to global and internal factors, the GSEC yields are moving upward and a strategic response. And as a strategic response, we are not holding any major trading positions. Consequently, the trading profit from treasury operations were low when compared to the previous H1. Other income, due to SR depreciation, that is security receipts depreciation of 19 crores, netted from treasury profits as per new or format, there is a treasury loss of 10 crores in Q2. Non-treasury other income has gone up by rupees 20 crores Q on Q and year on year due mainly to higher PSLC premium. Overall net operating income could be maintained at Q1 22 level despite treasury losses due to increase in net interest income and non-treasury other income. OPEX, the staff cost increased by 15% year-on-year as the number of staff increased from 3,353 to 4,879 or by 46%. Out of 4,879 employees, IBA category comes to 1,443, constituting 30%, and CTC 3,436, constituting 70%. Q on Q, there is an increase of rupees 22 crore contributed mainly by increase in AS 15 provisions, that is rupees 18 crore in Q1 to 38 crores in Q2. Rupees 15 crore of increase due mainly to purchase of DA for pensioners. Non-staff OPEX up by 38% year-on-year due to increase in rent, depreciation, repair and maintenance and other charges. Number of branches have increased from 421 to 541 year-on-year, and this is the main contributing factor for the increase. Q on Q, there is increase of 4% due to increase in repairs and maintenance and IT charges. Operating profit is up by 26% year-on-year, tracking growth in net operating income by 24%. Q on Q, there is an increase due to treasury loss, SR depreciation impact, and operating profit of Q2, but for the regulatory changes, is 181 crores as against 179.8 crores in Q1. Cost income ratio stood at 55.83% in Q2 as against 56.41% in Q2 of 21 and 48.45% in Q1 of 22. But for the regulatory format changes, the cost income ratio for Q2 of financial year 22 would have been 51%. Net profit after tax is at an all-time record level of 119 crores and is up by 95% quarter-on-quarter and 72% year-on-year. Thanks mainly to recovery in gold loan NPAs, there is a reversal of 18 crores of NPA provision as against charge of 97 crores in Q1 financial year 22. This has contributed to bumper quarterly profits despite reduction in Q-on-Q operating profits. Reduction in gold loan NPAs has thus a benign effect on interest income and on NPA provisions and enabled the bank posting record PAT. ROA and ROE, bank recorded a return on asset of 1.53% for the half year ended 39/21 and 2.02% for the quarter ended 39/2021. The return on equity stood at 17.84% for the half year and 22.96% for this quarter. Asset quality, quarter to quarter gross NPA reduced from 686 crores to 587 crores. Non-gold NPAs reduced from 333 crores to 300 crores. Gross NPA percentage reduced from 4.88 to 4.11. Net NPA reduced by 74 crores from 444 to 370 crores, while as a percentage to net advances from 3.21 to 2.63, thus falling below 3% mark. Gross NPA and net NPA ratios, excluding gold, works out to 2.09 and 1.14 as on 39/21. PCR improves to 73% from 70% Q on Q. Borrower-wise SMA, which was at rupees 400 crores as on 36/21, could be brought down with a reduction of 131 crores to 269 crores by 39, which constituted only 1.88% of gross advances. During the quarter ended 39/21, bank restructured 56 crores of loan book. As on 39/21, total restructured book stood at 113.45 crores, which is hardly 0.79% of our gross advances. The amount outstanding under GECL scheme is 141 crores as on 39, as against 136 crores as on 36. Collection efficiency continues to be about 90%, and the same was 93% in September 21. Capital adequacy ratio stood at 20.12 as on 39/21 as against 21.63 as on 36. Reduction is attributed to increase in non-gold advances, STM non-SLR investments, and deterioration in rating of a few corporate customers. CRAR on 39/20 was 19.69%. Leverage ratio is at 8.03% on 39. Top line growth, year-on-year deposits grew by 9% and CASA by 21%. Advances grew by 12%, while gold loans by 10%. Q-on-Q deposits and advances grew by 2%. Gold loans decreased by 3% Q-on-Q as the effect of lower LTV regime continued to weigh in on the portfolio. Also, our prime focus was on recovery of NPAs and containing slippages. As asset quality concerns in gold loans have ebbed now, going forward, we expect to see good traction supported by festive season. Liquidity position continues to be comfortable with an LCR of 170%. Total lendable surplus is close to 1,700 crores. We have opened 36 new branches in this financial year and merged 6 unviable branches, thus taking the total network to 542. We plan to open another 50 plus branches in the current quarter. Conclusion. Once the demand picks up, we will have enormous opportunities in our priority segment like gold loan, SME, MSME, two-wheeler, MFI, etc. Though there could be some stress in loan book, we would be in a position to manage it better as economic activity has revived to almost normalcy. We remain well capitalized and well leveraged to capitalize the economic recovery to drive strong financial and operating results in the coming quarters. Thank you. I'll leave at this and I'll prefer to take a few questions from you.
Thank you very much, sir. Ladies and gentlemen, we will now begin the question and answer session. Anyone who wishes to ask a question may press star and 1 on your touchtone phone now. If you wish to remove yourself from the question queue, you may press star and 2. Participants are requested to use handsets while asking a question. We will wait for a moment while the question queue assembles. To ask a question, ladies and gentlemen, you may press star 1 now. We have a first question from the line of Harsh Shah from L&T Mutual Fund. Please go ahead.
Yeah, thank you. So I just have a few questions starting from the restructuring. So what is the total outstanding 1+2 restructuring book as on date?
113 crores.
And how much provisioning are we carrying on that?
25%.
Okay. And over and above this, how much of buffer provisioning we have as on date?
Buffer provisioning is 318 crores over and above the RBI requirement.
Over and above the restructuring provisioning.
Overall. Now,
okay,
in the presentation we are given the segment-wise how much extra provisioning we are carrying. Overall,
yes, I guess that is on slide 8.
Yeah. Overall, we have 318 crores of excess provisioning over and above the regulatory requirements.
Okay. And so second question is, if we remove this new guidelines or set off of recovery, so how much of provisioning means basically can you just help me with the -9 crore of net provisioning that we have done? What would have been that amount if this regulation were not in place?
Divakar, can you explain that?
Sir, the total provisions even otherwise for the quarter would have been 6.10 crores only. By adjusting this recovery in return of accounts, it has come down to -18.2. But otherwise also because of only NPAs have been arrested during the quarter, that is why there would not be much additional provisions to be made. Secondly, so we have also recovered from out of already declared NPAs. So cumulatively, even otherwise also it would have come down. This NPA provision would have come down. But for adjusting this bad debts recovered, it is -18.2. Otherwise, it is -6.1.
So this is as against your Q1 figure of 93 crores. Am I understanding this right?
Q1 large scale slippages were there in gold loan. That is why for the half year, if it is reckoned, the provision is 79 crores net provision. Otherwise, yes. It is 98.1 and 19 crores of bad debts recovery has been appropriated. And net provision for the half year, we have made 79 crores. This is essentially from first quarter accounts.
Okay. 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 And another question is on the gold loan of recovery. Mr. Rajendran will be able to tell me this in detail. So, sir, how has been the recovery process, and what kind of incremental stress that are we witnessing in this segment, that we also had a decent chunky slippage from this book in this quarter as well?
Right from May onwards, we are seeing incremental slippages are coming down month on month. March, April was the highest slippages which have happened. May, June, July, if you look at month on month, incremental slippages are coming down. So overall, NPA remains at around 300 crores even today. So it's mainly because of our policy of not pursuing the auction as the first solution. So many companies have gone for aggressive auction, but we give all possible chances to the borrower to redeem the jewelry. Auction is a last resort for us. So we have also done some auctions. Okay, after the auctioning, the loss recognized for this quarter is only lakhs. The first quarter it was 1 crore. After there is an auction shortage, we call it. After auctioning and adjusting, shortage to be recovered from the customer is 1 crore. Now it is 88 lakhs. So totally so far, after auction amount to be recovered is 1.88 lakhs, which is fully provided for. Of course, recovery will happen over a period. And remaining amount of 300 crores also, we are confident that we will be in a position to recover a substantial portion during the third quarter. And by fourth quarter, we should be completely out of this problem, because this excess LTV lending has come to an end by December itself. From January onwards, we have reduced our loan to asset value. So up to December, whatever we are given, we will be in a position to recover by December. In January onwards, it should taper down. And we are confident of getting back to the March position of 44 crores NPA. Around that level, we will be in a position to reduce the NPA.
So by March end, how much on our total book level, where do you see your GNPA as a percentage to reach by March?
Because GNPA of 2% and a net NPA of 1%. Even today, if you exclude the gold, it is almost at that level only. Excluding gold, it is 2.08, 2.09 and 1.14 as on date. Our desire is to reduce it to below 2 for GNPA and below 1 for net NPA. If one more round of COVID is not coming, I think we will be in a position to achieve these targets.
And sir, assuming there is no third wave, etc., as you rightly said, do you think we will achieve this number this March itself, this March 22?
We have already done it. If we exclude the gold, it is already 2.09.
No, including
1.14. And we don't have any major accounts which are showing signs of threats. So as such, the other than gold NPA slippages will be much less than the recovery. And gold, we will be in a position to bring it down substantially. So it is possible. I am not promising that, but it is possible.
Right. Just one last question from my side is, we've seen a very high substantial growth in your agri and MFI book. It was not even 1% of your gross book. Now it is almost 5%. And also, I guess that is also correlating with the fact that our risk-weighted assets to total assets have gone from 40 to 45%. So can you just help us explain, what is the rationale behind growing this book? What kind of growth opportunities you are seeing from this book?
No, we never had a pure agriculture portfolio in the past. It was a very small portfolio. Most of our agriculture performance is based on the agri gold loans. Consciously, we wanted to develop a pure agri portfolio without gold pledging. So direct lending to agriculture, we brought in a person from another private sector bank and formed a separate vertical, and this is an effort going on for the past 3 years. So after 3 years, we have reached these numbers. Okay, now the traction is increasing because we were operating only in 3 markets earlier. Kerala, Tamil Nadu and Maharashtra was the focus. Now we have expanded to Andhra, Telangana, Karnataka also, and selectively in other parts. So naturally, there will be much more traction in the agriculture growth. And considering the monsoon and our model, the slippages are very, very low. In the BC model of lending also, our slippages are low. Only wherever we have bought the MFI portfolio, there are some challenges. That is where the NPAs have come in. That we are trying to address. So direct lending through BC model and direct lending to agriculture has a very good track record, and NPAs are minimal. And we would like to go with this strategy for other states also.
Understood. Okay. Thank you, sir, and all the best.
Thank you.
Thank you. To ask a question, ladies and gentlemen, you may press star and one on your touchtone phone now. We have next question from the line of Mona Khetan from Dolat Capital. Please go ahead.
Yeah, hi sir, good evening. So I noticed that LTV on your gold loan book has actually increased sequentially from 77% to 79%. So, why would that be the case? Because, you are degrowing the book, and anyways, as per regulatory requirements, I believe it's higher than that. So, yeah. And plus the gold prices have not increased. So, yeah.
There are two reasons. You might have seen my tonnage has increased in spite of the loan portfolio coming down. Okay. 16 kilos it has increased in spite of the portfolio coming down. On the other side, gold prices have also come down substantially. So that has increased the loan to asset value on one side. And our agriculture portfolio has increased by 600 crores. So agriculture portfolio has a higher loan to asset value. We can give up to 85% in the agriculture loan to asset value. So that is one portfolio which has resulted in loan to asset value increasing to this side. But this has been the practice earlier, and recovery track record is good in agriculture. So nothing to worry about it.
So agri and MFI portfolio also includes some gold-backed loans?
No. Within gold there is an agri and MFI also.
Okay.
And the previous person was asking about the exclusive agriculture without gold as collateral.
Okay. So the growth in agri and MFI that we have seen in this quarter is mostly the direct agri loans, not backed by gold.
Yeah, that we are shown separately.
Right.
The direct loan only we are showing separately. Gold is included in the gold part only.
Right. But if I look at this number sequentially, which is from Q1 to Q2, your tonnage has actually declined as well as the LTV has declined, not from a year-on-year perspective. And sequentially, even the gold prices, if I'm correct, have remained stable. So what is the reason behind this rise in LTV?
Which portfolio are saying it has gone down? The agri portfolio has come down?
No, my first question itself, which referred to the gold LTV from 77 to 79.
Within the gold, the agri composition has increased. Agri has a higher loan to asset value, up to 85%. Okay. That is one reason. Okay. Second reason is gold prices have come down, so loan to asset value has gone up.
Okay. And so, from a medium-term perspective, where could we see this LTV stabilizing? Would it be closer to an 80% level?
No, it should go to 70% level if the gold prices improve. And the incremental lending in the non-agriculture is happening only at 68%. So when the non-agri portfolio grows, this will move towards 70%.
Got it. And on the OPEX part, so your OPEX has increased. You cited some reasons around new branch additions and employee additions. So could we incrementally expect a similar sort of run rate on the OPEX side?
So now we have slowed down a bit on the branch expansion. Only another 40 to 50 branches will come into existence during the current year. Employee expansion will not take place now, because these are the employees which are taken for the entire branch opening plan. So further additions may not happen during the current year as far as the employee count is concerned.
Okay, so the run rate may remain in the 1,200 crore range for employee expenses and 700 for other OPEX.
Most of the employees were joined only during the last quarter. The full impact might not have been felt in the last quarter. The full impact will be felt from the current quarter onwards.
Okay, got it. So we may expect, say, 1,400 kind of employee expense run rate for you.
Yeah, it will be slightly higher than the current quarter.
Okay. And on the growth front, what is your outlook for this fiscal? And any color on the non-gold retail in terms of product launches and rolling out of digital product suite will be pretty useful.
We have already launched on an MSME product, and today we got the approval from the board for another 3 products in the retail segment. All these products will be launched shortly. So but the traction will take some time because these are all small value loans. The volume-wise, it may not contribute substantially to the growth, but these products will start contributing from day one. So volume growth will happen only from SME segment, wholesale segment, and the gold loan segment. So it depends on the economic activity revival. Our desire is 25% in the beginning of the year. That seems to be difficult at this point of time because we have not grown even 2% now. So probably 10 to 15% could be the growth which we can anticipate for the current year.
Sure. And just lastly, MSME you've highlighted earlier as well that remains your focus area, and that's one you want to portray yourself from a long-term perspective. And yet, if I look at the growth in this segment, it's been pretty muted, including the MSME as well as SME book. So, what is holding you back? Because for some of the larger banks, it's been one of the key drivers for their growth.
So what happened? The pricing has become very unrealistic in the market. We are seeing a single B rated account in the SME segment is taken over at 7.5% or 8% in the market. We charge around 10% for the double B or single B account. So the risk is not priced because of the excess liquidity available in the system. We don't get into a price war in the market. We have our own pricing methodology which we adopt. Of course, we do consider some concessions on a competition purchase in, but not always. So instead of lending incrementally, the attrition is also high on this portfolio because other banks coming aggressively and taking our existing advances. That is one reason why we are not able to grow. I hope that a better sense will prevail over a longer period, and once the liquidity side is set out, naturally pricing will come to the realistic level, then this attrition can be arrested.
Sure. Just a final one. On the assignment loan, you've seen a very sharp growth on a sequential basis. So what exactly is this portfolio, and what's the outlook here?
We have not done much of assignments during the last half year. The only assignment done was in a gold loan. About 400 crores of loan we have done at the end of the quarter. It has resulted in a sharp increase, and it's a gold DA, so naturally there is nothing to worry. The previous assignments which are done, the outstanding amounts are showing signs of some weakness. There are NPS which have come up which we have provided for. So for the time being, we are not keen on doing other DA on a large scale.
Okay, so these are bought portfolios from NPS. Okay. Thank you. That was pretty useful.
Thank you. We have next question from the line of Abhishek Murarka from HSBC. Please go ahead.
Hello.
Yeah.
Yeah, good afternoon, sir. So, couple of questions from me. One, in your opening remarks, you mentioned that one of the reasons for the increase in market risk was a deterioration in the rating of a few corporate customers.
Yes.
Now, when I look at the rating profile that you have disclosed, by and large, the ratings are migrating upwards only. So, this deterioration is within that A and above bucket?
A and above bracket from AAA to AA to single A. That might have happened. So naturally, the risk weight increases from 20% to 50 to 100%.
Sure. And which segments would this exposure be in?
Divakar, could you explain that?
One is the EPC contractor, sir. That.
Okay.
Otherwise, there's not many, sir. This one, and one is in oil sector. That is for. Actually, sir, only in this category, only 2 to 3 accounts only have been seen, sir. Not many.
Okay. One is in edible oil, one is in the infrastructure, right, construction.
Okay. And this deterioration, it is more due to company-specific factors or just in those industries
More of
you're seeing?
market-related ones, that the inability
Okay.
to sell, margins coming down, all those.
Okay. So the second question is, in SME, you just mentioned that there is a lot of attrition, and we know that pricing pressure is there. Risk is not getting priced correctly. So in this segment, despite your size and your reach in different areas, you're still not finding good pockets of growth. So does it mean that larger banks have penetrated to quite an extent, or is it that you're just letting go of business because of the pricing?
Some cases it is a conscious decision to let go because of the pricing. Some cases it's because of some segments where we are not comfortable taking additional exposure also. Okay, so we don't take additional exposure and leave it to the competition to take the additional exposure. That could be the reason. And the markets where we are strong, we are getting a lot of new accounts. Of course, you will see the last fortnight of the quarter, we are seeing good growth, and we have large amount of pipeline work pending now. Probably third quarter, you will see good growth in SME as well as wholesale segment.
Okay. Because last couple of quarters, the volumes have not built up here. So I was just wondering, despite the size.
We were also very doubtful about the recovery process. So we have not been aggressive during the last 2 quarters.
Sure. And sir, just this agri and MFI, how much is direct agri and how much would be MFI out of that 680 crores?
Most of it is direct agri. MFI portfolio is much smaller. Direct agri also, we have a lot of rubber suppliers to the tire companies. We do discount the bills of these suppliers on these tire companies and give them the credit advance. It is a post-harvest lending. So our exposure gets shifted to these tire manufacturers, which is a good rate for us. So that is one reason why it has started growing in a big way.
Okay. And so finally, just one question on the GL. You said there's an agri component and a non-agri component.
Right.
In the non-agri component, what is the outlook now in terms of pricing, in terms of tonnage increase, or customer acquisition? How is it going incrementally, and where do you see that in the next, let's say, 6 months?
Pricing is not an issue in the non-agri segment or in the agri segment also. It is only the per gram rate which it is growth. When the loan to asset value increased, naturally a lot of traction happened during the last year. This time we are very conservative on the loan to asset value. So the other companies, particularly the gold loan companies, have become aggressive, and other banks have also taken an indirect route to give more loan on the gold, which we are not very comfortable. So naturally the competition is much more aggressive and taken a larger market share when compared to us. Some of them have gone through these direct marketing agencies which are delivering the gold loan at home, and that is getting traction. The ticket size is also big in those cases. So they have such tie-ups, and some banks have grown mainly because of those tie-ups. We don't have any such tie-ups. Even though we are signed up, there is not much of traction because they wanted exclusivity which we are not willing to give. As a result, those kind of alternative channels in the gold we are not having at this point of time. We are trying to develop a BC model in gold. Probably if that works in our favor, the growth could be much higher.
Okay. So this is a sort of work in progress. So by when do you think maybe whatever you're trying right now in terms of BC model, when does that?
The second part of this quarter itself, this product will be ready for launching. And that should give some traction. Even otherwise, when the busy season comes, we are seeing naturally there is a demand for gold loan going up.
Okay. Sure, sir. Thank you so much. Best of luck for the coming quarter. Those are my questions.
Thank you. We have next question from the line of Aman Ilahi from Investec India. Please go ahead.
Hi. Thank you for taking my question. Now, sir, so last quarter you had...
Sir, I'm sorry to interrupt. Your voice is not very clearly audible. So could you please use the handset? Sorry, we lost the line of Mr. Aman Ilahi. Take the next question from the line of Saurabh Dole from Trivantage Capital. Please go ahead.
Yeah, sir, good afternoon. A couple of questions from my end. I just saw the yield chart that you've given on your presentation. Is it possible to give us the yield of the gold versus the non-gold book separately?
Yeah, gold is 13.08.
The gold yield is 13.08.
Yeah. Remaining you can calculate for the non.
Oh, yeah. Okay. And sir, when you look at the next 2-3 years, I know you've been trying to diversify out of gold, but what kind of mix do you foresee? Because right now we are about 1/3 of the book is gold. So how do you see this mix going forward in the next 2
There is
years?
no intention to slow down on gold. We would like to be as aggressive as possible in gold. But when
Okay.
SME and wholesale segment and the new retail product grows, the proportion of gold will go down. So until there is a pickup in the other segments, gold will continue to be a predominant portion of the loan portfolio.
So yeah, you think the mix will not change materially in the next
Not
2-3 years?
in the immediate future.
Okay. And any outlook on the PCR? Because I think last year you were closer to around 60%, and this has come down substantially to less than 40 now.
Just
So
because of the gold. So we are having 25% provision on the gold. Gold NPA is almost 300 crores. 75 crores is only on that. And the gold NPAs are recovered. Naturally, this provision reversal will take place. So it is nothing to worry on that count.
okay, sir. Okay. Yeah. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you. We have next question from the line of Digant Haria from GreenEdge Wealth. Please go ahead.
Yeah, sir. So two questions primarily on gold. Sir, first is what was the total quantity of auctions that we did in Q1 and Q2 of this year? That's first question. And second, sir, you said that a lot of banks are, taking the agent route for gold loans and they're demanding exclusivity. If you can just give a little more color, like, in terms of how, are the economics of us doing it on our much better than what, these other agents?
Sure of our doing on our own, but volume cannot be built so easily. One private sector bank has built more than 3,000 crores through one of these companies, I am told. Now they are branding themselves, they are coming out with a lot of ads. Delivery at the home loan is becoming a popular product with this company. And the single company has contributed for 3,000 crores of growth in a competitor's book, I am told. So they charge somewhere around 18% to the customer, and bank may charge around 10.5 to 11%. I don't know exact arrangement. Somewhere this is what I understand from the market. So the yield will be less, but of course your operational expenses will also be less. Not a bad proposition, but whether you are willing to give so much of margin to them and give exclusivity to the
Right. Sir, and then exclusivity, would it mean that, you cannot or your branches cannot do own marketing in those areas where that agency is?
Marketing, we cannot tie up with one more company providing a similar service.
Okay. Got it, sir. Sir, and just the auction number of, for Q1 and Q2?
The first quarter was about 43 crores. Second quarter, I don't remember. I'll furnish to you. But the auction losses, after the auction, what amount could not be recovered was about 1 crore in the first quarter and 88 lakhs in the second quarter.
Yes,
so
sir, yes.
This will be fully provided for and this will be recovered over a period.
Yes, sir, absolutely, sir. Thank you so much. Sir, if later in the call you can just give that Q2 number, that would be.
I'll find out, yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you.
Thank you, sir. We have next question from the line of Himanshu Taluja from Motilal Oswal Financial Services. Please go ahead.
Hi, sir. Thank you. Sir, just one question. What is the total recovery that you have made in the gold loan portfolio during the quarter?
About 131 crores.
131 crore? Okay, recoveries that you have made in the during the quarter.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Sure, sir. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. We have next question from the line of Nalin Shah from NVS Brokerage. Please go ahead.
Yeah. Hello, sir. This is Parthiv from NVS Brokerage. So just wanted to get some idea on, your cost to income, which is basically right now gone up a bit, to almost 56%. What do you perceive going forward? And if you can throw some light, for the second half of the year, as far as the top line and the profitability is concerned?
Cost income ratio has gone up mainly because of the changes in the accounting practices as suggested by the RBI. Some of the income is not recognized as an income. Some of the provisions we have moved from the provision to affect the operating profit. So the income itself got affected because of the accounting. Otherwise, the cost income ratio might have been 51% had we gone by the old method of accounting. The new method of accounting has resulted in certain increase in the cost to on operating costs.
Okay, sir. Okay, sir.
It should come down. As we repeatedly say, it should be below 40% is our target. Desire is to bring down to 40% over a period.
Okay, 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 sir. Perfect. And any, can you help us out with anything for the second half of the year?
Come again, I'm not getting it.
So for the second half of the year, any, ballpark or a benchmark figure you can give for the revenue or the profitability?
No guidance as such. Okay, all depends upon the conditions in the market.
Correct.
But we would like to do much better going forward.
Okay, sir. Perfect. Thank you so much and best of luck, sir. And it was fantastic. It just went by. Best of luck, sir.
Thank you.
Thank you. To ask a question, participants may press star followed by 1 on your touchtone phone now. We have next question from the line of Aman Ilahi from Investec India. Please go ahead.
Thanks for the opportunity. So in the previous quarter, you had given a breakup of your gold loan portfolio in terms of what proportion had greater than 100% LTV and what proportion had greater than 90% LTV. If you could share a similar number for this quarter.
Yeah, ask them to provide that. Probably in the whatever we uploaded, we will add this slide also.
Okay. And sir, just some more color on the DA provisioning that we have done this quarter. So again, you highlighted that around 40% of the employees are under the IBA package.
30%.
So,
30% under IBA package.
30%. So what could be the impact? There was an article highlighting that the IBA wage settlement that's also sort of due. So what kind of hit can we expect because of that wage settlement?
There is no agreement which is due. Agreement is due only when I sign an agreement. I have not signed any agreement with any claimants, right? Actually, unions are fighting that the other banks have signed an agreement with an IBA. So that agreement is to be implemented in our bank. That is what their demand is. We are not given a mandate to anyone to negotiate on our behalf. Neither we are a party to the agreement. There is no obligation on our part to implement anything. Okay. We have called them for a negotiation and we have placed our demands. These are all the things you have to achieve if you want a wage revision. Unions have not agreed on that. They have gone back and gone to the street for fighting. As far as this bank is concerned, last 5 years they were fighting. Right from day one I have entered, they were always under agitation mode. Occasionally they will go on a strike. So that's the culture there. So it has no impact on the business. And in the first round of strike, all the 535 branches were open, except very few branches. The second round, of course, political elements have also come in, and few more branches got closed in on Kerala. Otherwise, there is no impact on the business per se, and we have no idea of implementing the industry level wage agreement in our bank unless the productivity improves.
Got it. And sir, some color on how many of these IBA employees are expected to retire over the next 2 to 3 years. I think we have given some numbers in our DRHP. If you can just give us an update.
That number might have undergone change. Many of them might have opted for VRS and gone. Every year we are saying about 100, 200 people are moving out either with other opportunities. Even now there are, I'm told, another 20, 30 people are likely to move because the competition has recruited some of the people from our IBA cadre also. And some of the people are opting for VRS. So it is not the regular retirement. Regular retirement could be about 30, 40 in a year for the next few years because most of them have retired. But apart from the regular numbers, it could be the VRS which people are opting. It could be about 100 to 150 on a yearly basis we can expect.
Got it. And sir, just last question. Any impact we're expecting of the recent floods in the region and the restructuring window is now shut. So how do we expect to manage any impact that's going to come?
We are not assessed anything. None of our branches were affected by that. Naturally, some customers could have affected, not major customers. The retail customers, few of them might have lost their properties or the other things, which will be known over a period, but will not have any significant impact on our portfolio.
Okay. Thank you. Thank you. So those are my questions.
Thank you.
Thank you. We have next question from the line of Susmit Patodia from Motilal Oswal Asset Management. Please go ahead.
Yeah, Mr.
Hi, sir. Hi, sir. Good afternoon.
Sir, I'm sorry to interrupt. Will you please use the handset? We're not able to hear you very clearly. Mr. Patodia.
The handset, yeah.
Yeah, I'm able to hear you. Go ahead.
Sir, this lending to rubber in Kerala, is it politically sensitive sector?
This is, see, for example, Apollo has a factory there, Goodyear has a factory there. So they acquire the rubber on an ongoing basis. Okay, the rubber suppliers supply the rubber to them. Only after the rubber reaches them, they sign the invoice and give it to us, which we have an agreement with the company. So we discount the invoice and give the money to the farmer immediately, and we collect the money after 90 days from the tire manufacturers. So there is no risk involved in it.
Okay, so we are not lending to standalone plantations outside of this tire.
No, this is a tripartite agreement, like.
Okay. And the second question is on gold loan book. When do you think this bottoms out with the CP, as you are suggesting, most of the NPAs may get cleaned up? Would that also be the bottom of the book?
Yeah, I'm here for the past 5 years. We never discussed gold loan NPA in any one of our meetings earlier.
No, I'm not discussing NPA, sir. I'm discussing loan book.
Gold loan NPA has become a reality mainly because of this higher loan to asset value,
LTV,
which were permitted during the last year, which is a mistake. But of course, from the government point of view, that is what the government wanted. That is what the only asset people are having, which they can pledge and take it. So the RBI might have taken a call to increase the loan to asset value. Of course, it has given good traction and good business for us during the last year. And people are struggling, okay, and gold prices have not gone up. Gold prices have come down substantially. And the gold prices have gone up, this problem might not be there. People might have sold or redeemed it. So when the gold prices is also stagnant or coming down, and when the incomes are not sustained, there is a challenge. But what we are saying is month after month, the NPA, incremental NPAs are coming down. And now it will slow down after December, almost it should be nothing. So whatever happens up to December, we must recover. So now about 200 odd crores is the NPA. I expect the NPA to come down to less than 100, 150 crores by December. In March, we should be completely out of it.
And when will the book start growing again, sir?
Book is growing. Book has started growing during the current quarter.
Okay. So this is, okay, yeah, that was my question. And sir, the next question is on this metric of business per employee. Obviously, you have added like 50-60% to your employee base. But what is the target from a medium to long term perspective? Where do you want to take the 7 crore number to?
So originally our intention is to grow minimum 25% in any year. Okay, but the current year was not very conducive, and these gold NPAs have also spoiled the party to a large extent. Now we are seeing the growth coming back, and if there is no further problem coming from COVID side, I think growth will stabilize. 10 to 15% growth should be there for the current year. Next year onwards, we will be on track for 25% growth.
And so lastly, on the rollout of retail products, where are we in that journey?
So we already launched one product in the MSME, which is getting good reception. And today, board has approved another 3 products in the MSME and retail. This will also be launched over a period of next 1 or 2 months. So, but these products will be available and sold aggressively, but may not contribute substantially to the credit growth because these are all small value products. It will take time to get the quantum, volume growth. So this will be a product line which is added, which will help us to grow. Slowly it will be built up over a period. The real growth will come only from SME, wholesale banking and gold.
Thank you. Thank you so much, sir, and all the best. Thank you.
Thank you. We have next question from the line of Ravi Singh from Motilal Oswal AMC. Please go ahead. Mr. Ravi Singh, your line is unmuted. Please go and ask your question.
Yeah, sorry. So my question is on the home loan book. So cost of funding, cost of deposit is down to 4.3% or so. I think that is one product you should be having aspiration to scale up much rapidly, because that can offset some of the volatilities we tend to see in MSME and gold and those sort of businesses. And one can build scale also over the longer term. And this book is declining.
So it's a temporary affair because of the excess liquidity which is floating around. Now, considering the inflation, there is a negative return for the depositors which cannot be sustained for a longer period. Deposit rates will go up. And at that time, if you start raising the home loan rates, there will be defaults will also increase. So this is not the right time to launch the home loan. So we have a home loan product. Our interest rates are slightly on the higher side, so traction is less. On the other hand, we are signed up with the HDFC for selling their home loans. So we have started selling HDFC home loans for the time being. That will help us to streamline our processes and train our people and work along with HDFC and gain enough experience. Maybe in a future date when we think that we are ready and we feel that our cost of deposit has come down substantially because of the proportion of CASA increases in the overall deposit, we will be in a position to sell home loans aggressively, our own home loan aggressively. Not at this point. The standalone home loan is profitable only when your cross-selling is very effective. We don't have the entire range of products for cross-selling. Once we increase the number of products offered to the retail segment and we are good at cross-selling, then only we must think of launching home loan on our own.
Okay. So what is the interest rates for your own home loan other than HDFC Limited?
It varies between 8 to 9% now.
Okay. And what level of CASA will you be comfortable when
it is around 32 to 33%, but this is on a non-growing book. Growth is not there much. So maintaining this 33% on a growing book itself is a challenge. I'll be comfortable when I reach around 38 to 40% CASA.
Got it. Thank you, sir.
Thank you. We have next question from the line of Nirmal Bari from Samiksha Capital. Please go ahead.
Yeah, sir. Thanks for taking my questions. My first question is on the gross NPA outside of gold loans. So if you can provide a breakup of what is contributing to those numbers, and on the same lines, expressing our coverage ratio, this gross NPA outside of about
gross NPA other than gold is 2.09 and net NPA other than gold is 1.14. This is constituted mainly by two segments. One is from the SME segment, where there is comparatively large NPAs are there. And other is from the retail portfolio, constituted mainly by LAP and home loans. And we were having our own home loan product. We have given to our NRI customers home loans who lost their job and came back to Kerala. And they don't have the resource to repay and they are struggling. Okay, because of the closure of the courts and all, we could not take the surface reaction. So naturally, the home loan NPAs have gone up. Retail NPAs have also gone up. The DA, direct assignment portfolio also, we have seen good amount of NPAs. Two-wheelers have increased. See, look at the numbers. Our NPA has increased from 2,500 accounts to more than 9,000 accounts during the current year. But the amount of NPAs have come down. That shows the large NPAs have moved out and it is replaced by large number of small accounts. So this 9,000 accounts mainly from the retail account is the NPA composition today. That only gives you hope that recovery possibilities are much higher and we will be in a position to reduce these numbers over a period of next 2 quarters.
And what would be the quantum of secured versus unsecured in this?
We don't have unsecured portfolio at all. The entire thing is secured.
Okay. And at present, our coverage ratio in this is about 45% if I back calculate using
the write-offs. The right way is because there is no differentiation between provision and write-off. We have a policy for partial write-off that gives us some tax advantages. So if we provide for it, we treat it as we convert it into a prudential write-off to that extent. So with that, it has come to 73%. Our declared policy is that we would like to have a provision coverage of more than 80%. We are striving hard to take this provision coverage ratio, including write-offs, to 80% by the end of the year.
Okay. So in the next 2 quarters, should we expect additional provisions on this front, or we would be using the provision buffer that we have?
My provisions have 318 crores additional provision over and above the RBI requirements. So there is no fun in increasing the provisions further. We have an accelerated provisioning policy. It is only because of seasoning of the loans where provision requirement will go up and we will provide, and the recovery of the recent slippages will also help us to contain it.
Okay. Okay. And secondly, on the branch expansion, you said that you would be going slow for the current year, and we would be adding like 40-50 branches in the next second half.
Some geographies have not given the traction which we expected. Whatever branches we have opened in southern parts, particularly Tamil Nadu, Andhra, Telangana, and Karnataka. Karnataka is yet to. Other 3 geographies have progressed very well. Karnataka is slowly picking up, whereas the Maharashtra and North, wherever we have opened branches, North and West, wherever we have opened branches, it is not progressing as expected. So in those geographies, we are not going ahead with the further branch opening. Now the branch opening is confined only to Tamil Nadu, Andhra, Telangana at this point of time, where there is good traction, probably because our brand reaches in these places. So those zones are permitted to go with the expansion as planned, but the North and West is put on hold until the existing branches break even.
Okay. So that would be true going forward for next year as well, right?
True. We will test the market only if you are able to reach the break-even level within 18 months. We will be in a position to open further branches, otherwise we will slow down.
Okay, sir. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. We have next question from the line of Himanshu Taluja from Motilal Oswal Financial Services. Please go ahead.
Hi, sir. Thanks for giving the opportunity again. Sir, just one question. As we are seeing basically the higher recoveries in the gold loan portfolio, and because of the recent RBI accounting change, we have seen a negative, we have seen the provisioning reversals basically of 18.2 crore in this quarter. As we are going to see the recovery in the gold loan portfolio to be remain higher over next few quarters as well, can we see the similar negative range in the provisionings over next 2 quarters?
Naturally, the provision, we could have returned back another 20 crores of provision which we have made in the earlier period for COVID. The COVID provisioning also we made 25% on all SMA accounts, including one-day default. That SMA portfolio has come down, we could have returned back another 20 crores. But as a cautious measure, we kept it as it is. So if the third wave is not there and the COVID fears are removed, all the COVID provision will get reversed automatically, which is in the standard asset provisioning. So naturally, it is not included in your provision coverage ratio. That is why provision coverage ratio looks little lower, but the provisions built are much more. So accelerated provisioning policy will continue on the NPAs, whereas COVID provisioning which are made on the SMA will be slowly unwound if the COVID fear is removed.
Sure. Thank you.
Thank you. We have next question from the line of Arvind Datta, an investor. Please go ahead.
Hi, good afternoon to you. And my question relates to your to Mr. Pralay Mondal, basically on the retail products that you've launched in the last 3 to 4 months. One obviously is the home loans by HDFC that you've been selling. Could you update on what's been the progress on the two-wheeler loans, the amount of business you've done with HDFC, and is there an arrangement that you will buy back these loans after a certain period of time?
Yeah. So first on the two-wheeler loans, we have started the business a little more than a year back, and it is progressing well. Of course, it was not only us, but the entire industry went through a little bit of a challenge because of the COVID and other related issues. But the good part is that process has fallen in place, and our, whether it's the match mandate processes, the technology, all of that is smoothly working, and we are showing improvement on the portfolio. And we expect now we are planning to launch in other locations as well. So this should gradually grow. But as you know, that two-wheeler is not really a scaled-up business. It will be one of the products. On your question on home loans, yes, we have tied up with HDFC Limited. Right now, we are trying to. The whole objective of this first is not to necessarily build a portfolio, but to our branches to get acquainted with the product. Because as and when we launch the higher-end product or for our preferred customers, etc., better quality customers, we should be in a state of readiness to sell that product. So we are activating our branches. Also, this is to ensure that our customers do not go to HDFC or ICICI or somebody else to take their loans, because that you lose your EMI because of that, and hence you lose your savings balance also. And we have limited set of high-end customers. If we lose them, then we lose the quality franchise. So it is to some extent a defensive mechanism. The other thing is, yes, we can buy back some of the portfolio which we originate for them. There are two arrangements with them. One is giving them a lead, and second is to originate the loan for them. In these two arrangements, the first one we don't have an option to buy back. In the second, we have an option to buy back. But I'm not thinking of that because buying back at that price may or may not work for us at this point of time. So we are actually done this to create a franchise, but yes, eventually that will be the second stage. And there are many other products which we are launching because we have to put the LOS system in place, and after that we will launch other products like personal loan, etc. We have been doing a lot of retail products in past to the branches. We have discontinued those processes to a great extent. We do small businesses there based on customer needs on an offline basis, but now we will launch most of the products on both technology platform as a process platform. So that's the way we are looking at it, as Mr. Rajendran was talking about it today in the call, that we have taken approvals for 3-4 products, primarily on the agri and SME and straight through process loans and things like that. So those are the initial ones, LAP. So those are the kind of businesses which we are starting to scale up. We'll be scaling them in the next 1 year. In parallel, we'll look at products like education loans, CV, and some of those as the economy starts picking up on that front. So that's the overall plan. But first, we have to create the infrastructure for that, both technology, digital, as well as branch CPA, all of that infrastructure. So we're working on that.
Thanks for the answer, and best wishes for the future.
Thank you very much.
Thanks.
Thank you. Ladies and gentlemen, that was the last question. I would now like to hand the conference back to the management for closing comments. Over to you, sir.
Thank you. We are back on track as far as the profitability is concerned. And unless some untoward incidents happen because of the COVID, we should be in a position to sustain it and able to reach the projections which we have for the current year. Even though the volume growth has not been very substantial, profitability is maintained as per our original projection by efficient operations and increase in the yield and reduction in the cost of deposit. Cost of deposit reduction may not be sustained. It has to be substituted by the volume growth to sustain this profitability. We are fully aware of it. That is what we are working on. We are working for volume growth in gold loan, retail loans, SME, and wholesale banking. I am confident that the second half will be led by volume growth and reduction in the NPA number substantially. Thank you all for this participation.
Thank you very much, sir. Ladies and gentlemen, on behalf of Axis Capital Limited, that concludes this conference call. Thank you for joining with us, and you may now disconnect your lines.